It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the Senate decides the fate of a highly debated voting rights bill.
Heat, then came the thunderstorms. We deserve this. A beautiful Skywatch storm tracker, and we'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we hear about Nevada's first ever Pride in the Park. KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Senate Republicans are expected to block voting rights legislation today. Backed by the White House, For the People Act automatically enrolls eligible citizens to vote, requires at least 2 weeks of early voting, and outlaws gerrymandering. Republicans called the bill a power grab by Democrats. Senate Democrats cannot overcome a GOP filibuster without at least 10 Republican votes. A court trial over Missouri officials' refusal to expand Medicaid is underway. Voters last year amended the state constitution to expand access to the health insurance program to hundreds of thousands more low-income adults, including 3 women who are now suing Governor Mike Parson's administration. The governor says he will not expand Medicaid because the legislature refused to pay for it. 2 single mothers and another low-income woman in response sued to force Missouri to provide coverage as called for in the state constitution.
There's nothing ambiguous about it. It specifically says shall be eligible. It specifically says shall receive services.
But there is no logical inconsistency because funding and eligibility are not the same thing. In other words, to get Medicaid...
Voters approved Medicaid expansion last August, passing the constitutional amendment by the 50% of the vote. State inspectors investigate how an 11-year-old boy was badly injured on a roller coaster in southwest Missouri. The accident happened Sunday night at the Branson coaster. Emergency crews found Orlando Perry trapped under the coaster. Officials say it took roughly an hour and 40 minutes to rescue him, and he was immediately taken by helicopter here to Mercy Hospital. According to his grandmother, Shalandra Ford, his legs were badly crushed and may have to be amputated. Missouri State Fire Marshal's office is investigating. Los Angeles police arrested Kansas City Chiefs player on suspicion of having a concealed gun. Authorities say they arrested defensive end Frank Clark after an officer saw a submachine gun in his car. He was pulled over for a vehicle violation last night, and that's when the officer noticed a bag with an Uzi sticking out. Clark's attorney said the gun belonged to Clark's bodyguard. The NFL will investigate the matter under its personal conduct policy. Better Business Bureau has a warning about an advertising scam. An Oronogo woman reported she had put an advertisement on her car from Aramark Corporation. They sent her a check that bounced, and it ended up costing her about $500.
What we are seeing is because there's a lot of people right now who are looking for work, and there's a lot of people right now who just perhaps need assistance in different ways. So we are seeing more employment scams as more people are looking potentially to move jobs.
Garland says a huge red flag to look out for is if someone asks you to send them money before you can receive money. Incoming Pitt State freshmen got acquainted with the campus yesterday. The university hosted freshman orientation. Around 100 students showed up for information on college living, meals, chapter houses, the health center, and other topics. Students also officially received their Pitt State IDs and rang the campus bell. Officials say it's a great way to introduce students to PSU.
I think an orientation is an incredibly important part of the college transition experience. We want all of our students to be on the same page, and this really helps to accomplish that goal. So we're all coming in with the same amount of information, and we're starting together with the same knowledge.
More students will be on campus tomorrow for their orientation. What do you do when you're swamped with Amazon packages that you were not supposed to receive in the first place? Well, a woman in New York faced that conundrum after this happened at her house. What? She received more than 150 boxes of children's mask brackets that were supposed to be delivered somewhere else. Jillian Cannon says the first packages arrived earlier this month, and then they just kept coming day after day. Amazon initially couldn't figure out what went wrong, so she was told to keep the packages. So Cannon, who owns a creative studio, decided to put those brackets to a good use. She and her business partner turned some of them into mask kits for the patients at a local children's hospital. Hey, at least you found a use for them.
So let's.
I wonder why they didn't
let
just
me
decide to
explain to
send them
everybody.
back.
Let me explain to everybody how we're going to have to do this for a couple of weeks because somebody may have a broken bone and a foot, and like it's fine. I just want to explain why, I'm not at the wall like we usually do it. No bigs. There was a similar story that came out a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And this woman was receiving children's masks. Is that correct?
Yeah, mask brackets, whatever I'm not really sure what a mask bracket is.
I'm not either, but that's amazing what she did with those.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy that she did not run into the problem that the other family encountered as far as their Amazon packages that kept showing up at their door, unwarranted. You can Google that story because this is family-friendly television, folks.
Oh.
Live look over 7th and Rangeline right now. It's a gorgeous Tuesday morning. We're sitting at 56 degrees, so we've actually bumped up about 3-4 degrees, and don't worry about the humidity. 97%, I know you go, oh, is it gonna be? No, that temperature is so low you won't even notice it. Also, key factor is wind shifting in from the southwest, and it's ushering in a high pressure system that is going to give us a whole lot of sunshine today. Oh, Tanya, there you go. Look at the 60s we got on the board right now. All throughout southeast Kansas and Nevada, trying to get there just as well. We'll throw Mount Vernon in at 55 and Neosho at 56. So we are off to a great start because everything is pretty much on the east side of the Mississippi. Take a look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Just absolutely perfect. Not a cloud in the sky, no precipitation to worry about. As a matter of fact, even if we just kind of look at the entire Midwest, nothing around us, nothing impending. So when we talk about the 7-day forecast, how about 48 hours of absolutely gorgeous weather before we begin to heat up for Thursday and Friday? But that rain too at the end of the work week is going to put us back into the mid 80s by the weekend.
All right. Well, I'm going to enjoy the next couple of days.
So if you want to do an Amazon story again, I've got another one for you about, wait, hold on. How about finding something 90% off actual retail price?
Oh, well, that's a good deal.
Yeah. I read this early this morning that there was an $800 scooter that people were nabbing for $60.
Ooh. I'm assuming it was a mistake.
No, I don't have one.
Right.
Wait, hold on. We can have fun, right? It's our
Yeah,
Fox show.
We could see it.
Here, let's do it. This is, yeah.
There you go.
That's why this dude's not rolling around in a scooter.
Well, you just need, you probably not a motorized one, but you could have one of those little kid scooters just for one, and then you could just kind of scoot along with it.
No, then I'd have 2 broken feet.
Yeah, that's probably so. All right, thanks, Michael. Up next, a COVID variant of concern emerges in the 4 states. And the Joplin City Council moves forward on a new scooter program.
Yeah, that's what I was hitting, so I was leaving.
All right, we'll tell you about the program in Carthage that's already underway. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Hi.
COVID-19 variants are popping up in southwest Missouri and in rural parts of Kansas. In Newton County, the UK and Delta variant have shown up in the area's sewage system. The Newton County Health Department says there have been 2 confirmed cases of the Delta variant in the county.
Coronavirus cases are starting to increase again in southwest Missouri and southeast Kansas. The Crawford County Health Department says they're also starting to see an emergence of the Delta variant.
The one of concern for us is the Delta variant, and not because it's more dangerous, but because it makes the virus more transmissible.
They say this variant makes it even more important to be vaccinated against the virus.
So we want people to be aware. We have had 7 verified cases since June 1st that had the Delta variant. And so it is here, and we just want people to be aware of that fact and to reconsider becoming, vaccinated.
In Newton County, they have 2 confirmed cases of the Delta variant and first found out the variant was in the county through the sewage water.
There have been testing of the wastewater sewage system, and they have found some of the variants in the watershed, the sewer water. And so don't know if that means that there's going to be an uptick in those particular variants. It just really shows us that COVID is here in all of its forms.
Mark Johnson, a professor at the University of Missouri, says they've been collecting water samples throughout the state since last July.
Just collecting wastewater samples from many different places throughout the state and just using them to measure how much SARS-CoV-2 was in the wastewater.
In Newton County, that's been in Joplin and Neosho. Johnson says this method of testing is more efficient.
With the wastewater, we get a pretty rapid readout, and it's not only rapid, but it's also more comprehensive. So, you might get a person that tests positive for India variant. The beautiful part is it doesn't matter whether they got tested or not. As long as they are pooping in their toilet, we'll be able to detect it if they were infected.
In Newton and Crawford counties, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Well, both Newton and Crawford County Health Departments urge residents to get vaccinated as a way to gain protection against any variants. Reports of the planet Venus's death may have been premature. Okay. New research from NASA found the second planet from the sun might still be geologically active. Scientists took a new look at radar images of Venus's surface from the 1990s, and it appears they found proof of tectonic motion. They say it looks like crust blocks on the surface of Venus moved alongside each other like chunks of pack ice. That's quite a description. Those are the big pieces of floating ice seen in places like the waters that surround Antarctica. Scientists say this discovery about Venus could help them study exoplanets outside of our solar system.
Okay, I'm obviously the worst spot in the world. I didn't know that Venus, I talk to my kids about space, and my kids and I know you're a space nut like I am. We love exploration.
Yeah, I
didn't know
it
Venus
was ever
had been
considered
declared dead.
a dead planet. Yeah.
When did this happen?
Well, I knew they hadn't found existence of life on Venus.
By the way, if you want to get Tanya and I not in a fight between each other, but if you want to fight me and Tanya, tell us Pluto isn't a planet, and we will come at you. And by the way, that's at T-Bach on Facebook. Yeah, don't. Okay, we're not going to get on camera for this. Sorry, my bad.
They don't want to take me on camera because I'm angry right now. Okay.
Dylan, we're done. Yeah, I was going to say we're done rolling through Venus. I needed her visceral reaction when I said Pluto's not a planet.
I did not look like Venus. I look more like the red planet. Just
right. When you tell us Pluto isn't a planet, we will come through your television screens. And I don't know why we've made that our hill, but yeah, we have. 81 degrees.
It has Kansas origins, okay?
I tell you what, hey, I'm going to introduce you to an 18-year-old kid from Nevada, Missouri here in just a second that you're going to be absolutely amazed. And guess one of the colleges that he's considering? Go home with this.
University of Kansas?
Bingo. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. And as we look forward to this weekend, now that we're starting to get out and about once again, there's a very unique festival that's going on in Nevada, Missouri. And we are fortunate enough to be joined by the co-organizer, a gentleman by the name of Lucas Connor. Lucas, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning as we all get ready for Nevada's Pride in the Park Festival. And here's the unique thing about this that I need everybody to understand. Lucas joins us. He's 18 years old, and he is a co-organizer, one of only 2 people that has worked so diligently to put Pride in the Park on. Lucas, number 1, congratulations to see your efforts come to fruition. Number 2, give me the impetus for how this came to be.
Well, so we were, we were talking. We had this was the first year that the Nevada High School GSA group came together, and they started. It was the first year it was like an official thing. And it was really neat to see. It was really good to see. So I went up with them, and then another person went up with them with me, and we just started talking. We said, "Hey, what would you guys think about doing a Pride Festival here in town?" And they were all for it. Everyone was for it. So then we started working on it. We started working to put it together. We started working with the city, and just everyone around, organizers, vendors, booth guests. Everyone just came together, and it just kind of fell together, and it was really great. So that's kind of how we came across it, and how we started wanting to do it.
That is great that you're talking about the community support, because Joplin's had Pride festivals. Miami, Oklahoma, just had their first one last weekend. You're expanding this. What has the community support been? Because as I go through here, I see Joplin for Justice is going to be there. Vernon County Democrats, Vernon County Republican groups are going to be there. And I'm going to get to our speakers here. These speakers, I'm not sure how you track them down. I'll get to that. But what's the community support been like when you came to them with this idea?
Everyone's interested in it. I mean, we're all here. We're ready. We are ready to support the LGBT community, and that's really the greatest thing about it. So everyone is so excited for it. I think there's really been not a lot of backlash. I haven't seen any myself. So that's really good.
That is tremendous. You have one of your guest speakers is Tim Shepard, and he is running for the United States Senate. And for people that may not be aware, he is the first Missourian who is openly gay running for state Senate, or U.S. Senate, excuse me.
Federal Senate, yeah.
U.S. Senate. Okay, I got to ask you this question. How did you land him as a guest speaker? I mean, that's got to be a hard get. It's a great get.
Yeah. Well, I've got connections. I've got my ways. I'm just a pro at it, I guess. No, what it happened was we met on Twitter, actually. So there was some Twitter interactions there, and then a couple things happened, and next thing I know, I am asking him to speak at our event. So he's got a 30-minute time slot, him and two other people. There's Dr. Trisha Bridgewater, a psychologist here in Nevada, and she's going to be talking about, loving yourself as you are. So, I mean, it's just a speech, not necessarily just for LGBT people, but just for everybody. There's Jeremy Case is on there. He's a therapist in Joplin, Missouri. He's talking about, I believe he'll be talking about at least just like LGBT mental health and just health and other kind of things. So that'll be really interesting to see.
And once again, you can not only see Tim Shepard, but also, as Lucas said, Trisha Bridgewater, Jeremy Case. They're all going to be speakers at the Nevada Pride in the Park Festival, and that's coming up this Saturday from 2 to 6. Lucas, I'm going to ask you to leave us with this. When everything is said and done and 6 o'clock rolls around at Marmaduke Park, what are you hoping the message that attendees leave with?
Oh, well, I think we're really hoping that people just leave choosing to love, really, is because when we love people, people can do well, people can succeed. When people know that they're loved, they can love themselves, and that's kind of our end goal, not just at this event, but just in life, really.
Lucas Connor, that, my friend, is what you call nailing the dismount right there. That was so well said. Once again, this is coming up this Saturday, Marmaduke Park in Nevada from 2 to 6, the first annual Nevada Pride in the Park Festival, and we're fortunate enough to be joined by Lucas Connor, one of only 2 organizers who has put this entire thing together at the ripe old age of 18. Lucas, you're going to do amazing. You have done amazing things. You're going to do more amazing things. And hey, congratulations on graduation as well.
Oh, thank you. That was fun.
We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
All right. It's time to honor today's 4th state hero, Lance Corporal Ken Clark, who served in the United States Marines from 1965 to 1966. He fought in Vietnam and received a presidential citation. His hometown, Jasper County, Missouri. We are proud to salute Ken Clark, our 4th state hero. Joplin City Council hears a presentation on an alternative mode of transportation, scooters. Bird scooters specifically. They're looking to come to town. The scooters utilize an app, and that app allows residents to rent the scooters for a short period of time. When the person who's traveling by scooter is done, they leave it for the next rider or to be picked up by a bird contractor for repair or charging.
Those scooters are popular in some other metro cities, and so I think there's an interest to bring those scooters here. Certainly want to make sure that if we do so, we're doing so in a way that's responsible and that we're also being as safe as we can. But it does provide another means of transportation, which could ultimately benefit the residents of Joplin.
City Council decided to move forward on negotiations with Bird scooters. While scooters may be coming to Joplin, cities like Pittsburgh and Carthage have already adopted them into their communities. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to both Pittsburgh and Carthage city officials to learn if their new transportation option has been a hit or a bust.
Joplin City Council may want to look to its four state neighbors as it considers partnering with Bird Scooters to bring a scooter program to Joplin. The city of Pittsburgh brought Bird Scooters to town last fall, and Carthage got its scooter program courtesy of the Lime Company up and running just last week.
They've been wildly popular to this point. Most of the riding's been occurring during the evening hours when it's nice and cool out.
Sure, those scooters are the hot new ticket in Carthage, but what about Pittsburgh, where they've been around for a bit?
There's been 4,600 rides from April to today, which is pretty healthy in terms of usage.
Pittsburgh's deputy city manager says the community has come to accept and even appreciate the scooters after first wondering why they were being left around town. The scooters are rentable within a certain area, and the company sends people to pick them up after they're done being ridden.
After people got used to them, they seem to be okay with it.
And Carthage has gotten a jump on the issue of scooters being randomly left around town by creating a scooter district of sorts.
We mapped out locations with Lime to create a historic district where people can ride Lime scooters and go through the Carthage Historic District. They're accessible in our parks.
In Carthage and Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Pittsburgh's deputy city manager also says his city's scooter program was adopted when COVID-19 was having a much more drastic effect on how people socialized. He thinks the program will see even bigger growth this summer. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
A historic day for the sports world as a National Football League player comes out as openly gay. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with more on who that player is, who's breaking those barriers, and more on what the experts say could impact others in making that decision to come out. That's just ahead.
And a Kansas City nurse aims for a paddling world record on the Mississippi River. We'll have her story in a bit. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
United, the four states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A court trial over Missouri officials' refusal to expand Medicaid is underway. Voters last year amended the state constitution to expand access to the health insurance program to hundreds of thousands more low-income adults, including 3 women who are now suing Governor Mike Person's administration. Governor says he will not expand Medicaid because the legislature refused to pay for it. 2 single mothers and another low-income woman in response sued to force Missouri to provide coverage as called for in the state constitution. State inspectors investigate how an 11-year-old boy was badly injured on a roller coaster in southwest Missouri. The accident happened Sunday night at the Branson coaster. Emergency crews found Alondo Perry trapped under the coaster. Officials say it took roughly an hour and 40 minutes to rescue him. He was immediately taken by helicopter to Mercy Hospital. According to his grandmother, Shalandra Ford, his legs were badly crushed and may have to be amputated. The Missouri State Fire Marshal's office is investigating. Los Angeles police arrested Kansas City Chiefs player on suspicion of having a concealed gun. Authorities say they arrested defensive end Frank Clark after an officer saw a submachine gun in his car. He was pulled over for a vehicle violation last night, and that's when the officer noticed a bag with an Uzi sticking out. Clark's attorney said the gun belonged to Clark's bodyguard. The NFL will investigate the matter under its personal conduct policy. Part of Main Street in Joplin was closed because of the Great Race. The Great Race is a cross-country old car rally that lasts 1 week and covers thousands of miles. Yesterday, the cars stopped by Joplin 44 Petro to fuel up before heading downtown.
I think everybody should do this that even thinks you're going to, because when this came through Ohio in 2012, we went from Warren, Ohio to Mansfield, Ohio, and then Dearborn, Michigan, and saw the end of it, and we were hooked.
Joplin was the finish line for the third day of the race. It started in San Antonio and finishes up in Greenville, South Carolina. How fun. Well, harvest is underway in the 4 states, and that means hay season is in full swing. With that in mind, the Kansas Highway Patrol wants to remind drivers to use caution when traveling around farm trucks, tractors, combines, or other implements. First, don't assume the farmer knows you're there. As Michael says, don't assume, because you know what happens when you assume. Most farmers regularly check for vehicles behind them. However, most of their time must be spent looking ahead to stay on the road and watch for oncoming traffic. Also, pass with extreme caution. When a farm vehicle pulls to the right side of the road, it doesn't mean it's turning right or allowing you to pass. Due to the size of some farm equipment, the farmer must execute wide left turns to allow it plenty of room and time to turn. Be alert to see if they might be turning into a driveway or a field. And be patient. Don't assume, there you go, Michael, that a farmer can move aside to let you pass. And finally, pay attention. When not focused solely on the road, motorists increase their chances of collision, especially if you should come upon a slow-moving farm vehicle. Just be safe out there. Give them time. They're filling our grocery stores for us. Got to appreciate them. Well, several people are hurt and more than 100 houses damaged after a tornado touches down in the Chicago area. Tornado hit late Sunday evening near Route 53 and 75th Street in Woodridge and also hit several other areas, including Naperville and Darien. Storm ripped roofs off of homes, smashed vehicles, knocked down trees and power lines, and sent debris flying into the streets. Chicago Area Utility Company reported more than 22,000 people left without power.
I was talking with some people that actually live in the Illinois, Indiana, Ohio area, Tanya, just yesterday. And it's very unusual for them to have that so close to the Great Lakes. And my buddy, he was just like, no, man, like we don't see it. For us, we see tornado warnings, like we know to like take shelter and whatnot. He said, no, we were vastly unprepared. And I don't know. Just one of those things. They had that outbreak that was not only on Friday, you and I talked about that yesterday, carried into Sunday as well. All right, let's talk about happier things. And that's 7th and Rangeline sitting at 56 degrees with beautiful clear skies and a whole lot of sunshine. As now we're finally putting 60s on the board throughout southeast Kansas, and southwest Missouri will be right behind that. It is going to be a wonderful Tuesday, not only morning, but entire afternoon. Because if you're tired of those hot temperatures that we had and you're tired of the rain from yesterday, well, how about we just roll everything from, high 70s to low 80s today and really pull that off for 2 consecutive days. Now, we do have some thunderstorm activity on Thursday and Friday with hotter temperatures, but still a great weekend as we sit in the mid 80s on Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. That's good old-fashioned Amazon's Prime Day. All right, so this has turned into a bidding war. It's essentially like the Black Friday in June. And so we're asking you if you participate in Prime Day. Right now, 68% of you say, not at all. Some of you, 26%. And we do have a couple that say you'll go on a shopping spree. You can take part every morning by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Well, June marks Pride Month, and now a new member of the LGBTQ community showing his pride and making history. We've got more on the NFL's first active openly gay player, Carl Nassib.
I want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for.
History being made in the NFL as Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib comes out as gay, becoming the first ever active member of the Professional Football League to do so.
He basically just took a sledgehammer, whether he knows it, and went up and smashed a giant wall.
Nassib's announcement being met with praise as NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell threw his and the entire league's support behind Carl, while echoing Nassib's hope that in the future there won't be a need for people to have to come out.
I actually hope that one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary.
Experts agree, saying this announcement helps to pave the way for other pro athletes to live and love authentically.
We are going to see players from not just in the NFL, but Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League and the NBA, who now can feel more comfortable than ever to come out.
And while other teams and players are publicly embracing Nassib, officials say there could be some critics. But in the end, the world is ready for more moments like this.
I think we're long past the time when it would be okay to pick on somebody publicly because of their sexual orientation.
Carl Nassib also announced that he will donate $100,000 to the LGBTQ suicide prevention organization. It's called the Trevor Project.
At least 15 other NFL players have come out before Nassib, but none, however, have done so while being an active participant of a team. We'll be right back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Nervous for a first date? Try avoiding these risky foods to help the evening go by smoother. According to a new survey by marketing researcher OnePoll, about half of Americans say going out to eat is the ideal first date activity, but not everything on the menu should be fair game. Respondents say it's best to avoid slurpy and fishy foods, especially oysters, mussels, and sushi. Safer foods include fan favorites like pizza, burgers, and salads. And if you save room for dessert, chocolate brownies and apple pie are both considered to be safe bets for a first date. Tesla shows off its new supercomputer. Tesla's senior director of artificial intelligence unveiled the company's supercomputer, which will help power autopilot and full self-driving features. The announcement came at the 2021 conference on computer vision and pattern recognition. The computer is the 5th most powerful in the world. That's according to sources. It's used to process data coming in from Tesla car cameras and feed information back to cars for self-navigation. Looking for a laptop? It might be a bit pricier than before. The ongoing chip shortage is increasing prices on tech items like laptops and printers. According to Keepa, a website which tracks retail prices, higher-end Asus laptop rose by $50 just this month. Hewlett-Packard has increased PC prices by 8% over the course of a year. Man, everything's going up. Well, it's a big weekend for air travel as pandemic-era record number of passengers were screened at airports across the country. But as more Americans travel, some airlines are struggling to keep up with a surge in demand. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
It's a pandemic-era record. 2.1 million passengers screened at airports across the country Sunday, the most since March 2020. The record marks the 5th day this month that air travel figures have exceeded 2 million passengers.
I've certainly seen the airplane loads, the airports. As I travel through the airports, they're much busier. In some instances, they look completely normal.
But carriers are struggling to keep up with this surge of passengers. United's CEO predicting there could be a pilot shortage in the U.S.
The military produces far fewer pilots today than they did, in the Vietnam and Cold War era, and it's hard to become a pilot, a commercial airline pilot, on your own if you're not going through the military.
Flight tracking site FlightAware says American Airlines canceled 6% of all flights on Sunday. The airline cites labor issues with both its own crews and contractors and says it's rebooking passengers on new flights in advance through mid-July. In a statement, a spokesperson for the airline says, "We made targeted changes with the goal of impacting the fewest number of customers by adjusting flights in markets where we have multiple options for reaccommodation." Adding, "We never want to disappoint and feel these schedule adjustments will help ensure we can take good care of our customers and team members and minimize surprises at the airport." For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Meanwhile, U.S. travelers will be allowed to visit Europe again this summer. The European Union's governing body recommends lifting travel restrictions from 14 countries, including the U.S. We will be right back with more after this, including Michael's perfect first date meal. Stay tuned for that. But first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Well, Kansas City nurse hopes to set a new speed record by paddling the entire length of the Mississippi River. If she becomes the fastest solo female to complete the task, she'll earn a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. The last woman to paddle the river from the source in northern Minnesota to the end in the Gulf of Mexico did it in 61 days. But as Jeremy Ford reports, kayaker Tracy Lynn Martin plans to do it in under 45.
My message really is to just show people what's possible, and I'm basically finding it all on my own.
For Tracy Lynn Martin, paddling the Mississippi is about more than getting a record. It's also about raising awareness for chronic pain.
I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2010, and I was diagnosed with scleroderma this year. So they're both autoimmune diseases. People with autoimmune diseases, people with chronic pain in general, they tend to stop living their life.
Marv Kujal is Tracy's #1 motivator and ground crew who tells me he supports Tracy's dream.
She will get the Guinness record for solo female on the Mississippi. She won't give up until she does.
He says Martin wakes up in pain every day, but still fights to keep moving.
Our typical morning takes 3 hours to get her up and going. There's a lot of people that follow her because of that.
Martin says if she can get up every day and paddle for hours with chronic pain, you can keep doing what you love.
The bottom line is you're going to hurt. You can sit in bed, you can sit in your chair in your living room and feel depressed and hurt, or you can get outside and do the things that you love. And when you're doing the things that you love, you're still going to hurt, but mentally you just feel better. And if you feel better mentally, it gives you a better quality of life.
Well, Tracy Martin plans to complete the journey, arriving at mile marker 0 in the Gulf of Mexico on the 4th of July.
For those of you that may not be aware, Tanya was a collegiate rower at the University of Kansas, and I know she'd be more than capable, not of breaking the record, but certainly of completing the journey. And going down the Mississippi is something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And so I really think with a 2-person kayak, because you have the skills to do it, right?
Sure.
I have the distinct ability to, #1, want to go down the Mississippi. #2, be able to, it looks good over there. Yep, looks good over there. And
man the cooler.
Right.
Hey,
hydration is important when I hand you water.
Michael, we teased something in the last break. Okay, so we talked about things to avoid eating on your first date and things that would be good to eat on your first date.
I'm listening to you. I'm just going to, and folks, don't worry, it's going to be fine today. I'm going to fast forward. No, I'm listening to you. I'm just getting to the 7th day. I got you.
Okay, so Michael, tell us what your perfect first date food would be. And then I'm going to tell you what I should avoid.
Okay, my perfect first date food?
Yeah.
If I can, I tell you what, if you can keep up and, man, you put me on the spot right there.
You told me you wanted to share it. So share it. All right, Michael doesn't want to share.
No. If you, like if you can ply a couple pounds of crawdads with me.
Oh, yeah. Michael will be eating crawdads.
And yes, it's if you're gonna eat tails and suck heads, like you do with crawdads, and you're like, no, this is great. Yeah.
Michael knows that you're the one. And okay, so Michael knows why this would be very important for someone like me to avoid on a first date, which I'm obviously not going on a first date. The food is rice.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Won't be happening.
There may be sneezing, there may be rice particles that'll just like kind of be spread throughout.
I never eat rice with my jacket on.
You know what else happens? The conclusion of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
All right. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. A big win for college athletes. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court rules the NCAA's strict limits on benefits to student athletes violates federal antitrust law. The ruling focuses on how schools reimburse players for things such as computers, science equipment, and musical instruments. The narrow ruling does not directly address athlete compensation, but it could ultimately change the landscape of college sports. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib announced he is gay, becoming the first active NFL player to do so. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell praised Nassib for courageously sharing his truth, adding representation matters. Well, a massive cleanup is underway after a tornado touched down in 2 suburban Chicago communities late Sunday night. More than 100 homes suffered damage in Woodridge and Naperville, Illinois, about 25 miles west of Chicago.
Sunny skies and highs only in the low 80s. A welcome reprieve from the heat wave that we had last week. Now, we will have some thunderstorm activity later for Thursday and Friday, but I tell you what, for the next 48 hours, we are perfectly attuned to get outside and enjoy some fresh air. I want to thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
If your husband